coming up on Nittany Game Week.
Too many times there's 10 guys doing their job, 9 guys doing their job, and that just doesn't cut it. We need all 11 to be doing their job every play.
The losing streak extends to 5 after another setback at the Horseshoe. The hard lessons the players learned from a tough stretch.
Same guys they started the year with for the most part that was ranked number 1 to number 3 in the country.
He's a Pennsylvania guy bringing the number 2 ranked team in the country to the Keystone State. Why Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers are favorites to win for the first time in Happy Valley. At Kinnick Stadium versus Iowa, and then Ohio Stadium versus the Buckeyes. Challenging road tests for Ethan Grunkemeyer in his first 2 games as the starter. Why he feels prepared in his first home game as the number 1 guy. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. A promising first half. At the end result, they're beaten by the Buckeyes in Columbus again. The losing streak extends to 5 as interim head coach Terry Smith says this team is stuck in a storm right now, guys.
Well, I mean, you get the head coaching job as interim coach. You go to Iowa, you go to Ohio State, now you got Indiana coming in. There's nothing you can do other than just continue to fight your way through it and see what happens.
Yeah, and he knows that. Terry's been in some situations before. He understands what it's going to take to get out of this. And it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of work to get done.
Well, the first step of any game week is to review what just happened. We accent the positives in the Horseshoe, discuss the difference in vertical passing games, and ponder the lessons learned from a tough stretch in our opening drive. Welcome home, Ethan Grunkemeyer. Grew up near Columbus, dreaming of a chance to play at Ohio Stadium. Gets the start against the Buckeyes. The Nittany Lions pour onto the field as a 3-touchdown underdog and more than hold their own in the first half.
Well, the Ohio State defense was not real hospitable in his homecoming. But when you look at the first half, they did some of the things we talked about in the show. They protected the football. They stayed on schedule. Grunkemeyer did a nice job on third downs in the first half. They did some things innovatively. And it was a ball game at halftime, and they were right there.
Now, Tom, you're a positive guy by nature. Penn State scored twice in the red zone against Ohio State. They were tops in the country in that category. And when you're on this kind of slide, do you concentrate on some of the smaller victories within a game as you're communicating with your team?
You do. You know, they knew that it was going to going into the game. That was going to be a problem. We got to get in the red zone. Hey, we got to score, and Penn State did.
Definitely a tale of 2 halves for interim head coach Terry Smith. He's trying to guide this team through some very difficult terrain.
We're in the middle of the storm, and we just can't figure how to get out of it. The seniors are hurting. I feel awful for those guys to end their careers this way. It's very challenging. It's challenging for all of us, but we have to figure out how to keep fighting. We're going to keep chopping wood. The one positive of the game, these guys did not quit, and that's a tell to who they are as well. We just got to figure some other things out.
Not an easy situation for anyone, especially for Coach Smith, who's trying to keep the current team and future of the program together.
I think one of the differences we saw, Todd, was the vertical pass game. You know, Terry talked about wanting to get the ball down the field more. They tried. They had a 26-yarder on a 3rd and 15, which is a nice throw. But then Ohio State hit 4 passes of 40 yards in wartime. They just had the ability to get the ball down the field.
The other thing, Terry made a great point. There's no quit in Coach Smith, so there'll be no quit in this team either.
Well, the list of top shelf receivers from Ohio State is lengthy, and Coach Smith says he has seen just about all of them play. After the game on Saturday, he said Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are better than any of them, Jay.
I'd take them all, so I'm not gonna rank them because they're all really good football players. The touchdown pass that Smith made off the tip ball, great job by the defense, but that was 10 yards in front of me when I was on the field Saturday. His ability to adjust is just incredible.
Yeah, and don't underestimate the quarterback that delivers the ball. Freshman Julian Sayin, as you watch the video, finishes 20 of 23 for 316 yards and 4 touchdowns, delivered all of them right on target. The Buckeyes average almost 14 yards per attempt. Meanwhile, Grunkemeyer ends up with 145 yards on 28 passes, a little more than 5 per try.
Can't replicate that speed and that talent in practice, but, we got to do our best during practice to try to, do what we can against that speed. And, those guys are gifted athletes, amazing athletes, so their speed was definitely a problem for us today, and we had a game plan of trying to keep the ball in front of us, and, we got to do better in that.
We were at Kenneck and then obviously played the #1 team in the country today. So I think those are just two great tests. And then we got another tough one, obviously. So, but I think it's just preparing me for, the next game.
Heck of a gauntlet for Grunkemeier's first few games as a starter. Iowa at night in the Horseshoe versus #1 ranked Ohio State, and then home versus Indiana. The new #1 in the college football playoff rankings is Ohio State. Indiana stays at #2. Now, if we look at the big picture, it's pretty grim for 2025. A 5-game losing streak could lose to Indiana on the home field for the first time ever. The roster is littered with seniors finishing up very successful careers. Tom, what are the lessons you learned during a tough stretch like this one?
You actually learn more during the tough stretch than you do when you're rolling, because you know now how all the little things start to add up. And that's the one thing you learned a long time. You take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's a both on and off the field issue. I had a chance to talk with senior transfer wideout Devontae Ross. Obviously, he did not come to Penn State and expect to be 3-5 at this point. So I asked him what he's learned about his teammates as they all go through this situation together.
A great question. I mean, just the leaders we got on this team. We got a great group of leaders, a great group of veterans who have played a lot of football, so just everybody's done their part, at practice, showing up every single day, not focusing on the outside stuff and what's going on, but just making sure we show up every day and work hard for each other and have each other's back through whatever adversity we may face.
A mature approach for Ross and the rest of the team. They have 4 more regular season games together as a team. And the first of those 4 is a home matchup with the Hoosiers, year 2 under Curt Cignetti. We'll show you a few of the reasons why they're unbeaten through 9 games. Coming up in our scouting report, more Nittany Game Week is on the way.
The opening drive is sponsored by R&R Express. Every shipment moved contributes to autism research and inclusion through the Excel Foundation. Learn more at wearerr.com.
These are more than just trucks. Every shipment moved by the R&R Express family of companies contributes to the Excel Foundation for Autism Research and Inclusion, funding safe spaces like the sensory room at Penn State's Beaver Stadium and a special events sensory trailer, and giving thousands that were unheard a voice.
Now is the time to amplify non-speaking voices and drive meaningful change.
These trucks are powered by purpose.
Every week, our groundskeepers are meticulously mowing, painting, repairing any damage from the previous game in preparation for Saturday. Our contributions to the team are providing safe playing surfaces for the athletes to showcase their abilities on. There's a lot of history here. Being able to be a part of that has been incredibly special for me.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State Football.
And welcome back to Nittany Game Week. I win, Google me. Direct quote from Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti on his recruiting pitch to potential players. Now, he exudes confidence, and so far as the head coach at Indiana, he has done exactly what he says he does, win. Coach Paterno, Coach Bradley, how in the world is he doing it?
Win he does. 20 wins since he took over last year. Only Ohio State has won more games than Indiana over that stretch. And let's talk about Coach Google. He's had a great record at IUP, Elon, JMU, and Indiana. He's won everywhere he's been. His dad won 199 games at IUP in West Virginia, so it's a family tradition. He brought 6 of his 11 assistants from JMU, brought a bunch of players from JMU, which has made that transition possible. Let's talk about the offense. This is one of the best offenses in the country, maybe better than the one they played last week in Columbus. First in scoring, their first and third down conversions. The quarterback is mobile, which is different than Ohio State. They've got a 3-headed run game. They've got 3 wideouts that you got to be scared of, and they're all big wideouts, Tom, and those big wideout matchups are a problem.
They're a big problem. One of the things you brought up, they all know this system. They know they've been in this system so long. If there's a problem, they know how to fix it. They know how to adapt during the game.
No question. So let's talk about it. This is a run-first offense. This is an offense that has gone over 300 yards rushing in 6 games. They like to get their big physical running backs on the outside. They brought in a couple of starters from other schools, including Notre Dame and Ohio State in the offensive line. They rebuilt there. They're better up front than Ohio State is in some ways. And the wideouts get out there and they block you on the edge. You better get off blocks, Tom.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's all over the place. It's just not internally in at linebacker. Those wide receivers block too.
And you look at this run, 9 yards downfield is when the safety finally makes contact, only because he's the unblocked guy in defense, and then there is some physicality at the point of attack. As we mentioned, the quarterback is part of that in the run game, which makes it trickier, but also in the play-action game. Mendoza is great with the ball fakes. They're going to run that same look to the outside, get you chasing, leave this guy on the backside unblocked. He gets fooled, and now they slip their wideouts, who are big play guys, behind you and get the ball in the open field to guys that can run.
One thing, all those are true. Don't forget that offensive line does a good job of selling the run.
Yeah, and you talk about read the hats. Those guys keep their hats low, and they get great impact at the line of scrimmage, which gets those guys biting on everything.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be something to watch. Now, they like some of the short passing game. They're very accurate, very consistent. Mendoza, I think, is second in the country in pass efficiency. When you start to jump the underneath routes, which Maryland did early in the game, you jump that route, they're going to give you a double move and come out behind you and make you look silly, Tom.
It's not a fun place to be as a defensive back looking silly.
You're just hoping for the overthrow in that situation.
That is
now,
correct.
let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball and talk about as good as they are on the offensive side of the ball. Look at the numbers on defense. Third in the country in scoring, seventh in total defense, and they are plus 12 in turnover margin. The safety is very aggressive. 13 interceptions in the defense. The linebackers have combined for 151 tackles and 12.5 sacks. And their inside guys generate pass rush shoot. They are all about disruptive plays, Tom, and trying to make you look bad.
All you got to look is at the one stat, plus 12 in turnover.
No question. They're great in tackle for losses. Their base defense are going to have 3 linebackers here. They're going to move people around to make you try and react to what they do, and then they're going to drop out of there and fool you. And here they get Maryland's quarterback looking, and he doesn't even see this guy underneath in the linebacker. And we talked about how productive the linebackers are, Tom.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. They are very productive because of the scheme, the way the scheme sets up. They're involved in this in a lot of different ways.
And Aiden Fisher's missed some time, and we'll see whether he plays or not on Saturday. That'll be one to keep an eye on game time. Now, you talk about third downs. They are one of the best teams in the country on third down conversions, only giving about 22% on third downs. Here they get in their nickels, so now you got a DB, which gives you more flexibility to do things. Here, the corner is down here. It looks like you're going to be looking at some kind of quarters coverage. They roll up here, roll over the top here, so it becomes a roll strong, which makes your trips pass game tough. They bring him out. Now, they take this linebacker and blitz him, drop him out, and now your offensive tackle is blocking nobody, and your running back's got to block a blitzing linebacker.
That's never a good scenario, but one of the things why they're so good is because what they've been able to do is that a lot of them are third and longs.
Yeah, no question about it. And here against Oregon had only given up 1 sack. Indiana got to them 6 times in that game, which turned into a 10-point win for them on the road in Oregon, which is never an easy place to play. So, Todd, a lot of things Penn State's going to have to do here, and a lot of threats. Going to be a tough task on Saturday.
Thank you, coaches, with a young quarterback to boot facing them. Well, the Hoosiers are 0 at Beaver Stadium, never won in Happy Valley. They are favored by a little more than 2 touchdowns to get that first win. Coach Signetti is quick to mention the Nittany Lions, still a very dangerous team.
Same guys they started the year with, for the most part, that was ranked number 1 to number 3 in the country. So a lot of good football players at all positions, playing really hard here. Tough place to play, 100,000 plus people. They're a really good football team.
Yeah, the Hoosiers beat Oregon on the road. They're following up an 11-2 season with 9 wins to start off this year. They are the 2nd team in the college football playoff rankings. Up next, our Impact interview with a former Penn State All-American wide receiver. O.J. McDuffie joins us with some advice for the current Nittany Lions going through a brutal season. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
This journey started on these very grounds, in these stands, with this community. West Shore Home was proudly made right here in Pennsylvania. We took a passion, a drive, and built a company that believes in hard work and success. Just like this football team. Remember going to your first game? The roar of the crowd? The feeling of being part of something bigger? That's a feeling you never forget.
Bring that same feeling to your home with an extra $750 off in addition to our current offer by visiting westshorehome.com/PSU.
In the Pocono Mountains, we always want you to feel like a guest in our home, our mountain home.
Our Fort Diamond homes.
You can dream.
Relax, we'll do it all for you.
Do it your own way. Choose a vacation rental home.
Our water parks are a splash of world class. We don't have to clean all these rooms, right?
The Pocono Mountains, where you're treated like a guest in all our mountain homes. Visit PoconoMountains.com.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. It is time for our Impact Interview, and our guest this week, well, he had a major impact not only on Penn State, but also the NFL and the Nittany Lions baseball team. 4 stolen bases in one game. Maybe that's why the California Angels drafted him as well. Could have made a major impact in Major League Baseball, too. O.J. McDuffie, thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time, man.
Man, appreciate you guys having me on. It's truly an honor, definitely.
Well, look, there are some young men that are committed to Penn State watching the situation very closely with the coaching staff. Interim head coach Terry Smith's message is, look, it's Penn State. It's always going to be Penn State, and that speaks volumes right there. So for guys thinking about coming to Happy Valley at Penn State, and you were a running back in high school, and you decided to play wide receiver for the Blue and White, you know, what kind of variables, what went into your decision, and what are some of the things that kids should be thinking about as they decide whether or not to go to Happy Valley?
Well, I think Coach Smith said it best. This is Penn State. You know, it's a big institution, more about everything, not just football. And I think the reason I chose Penn State is because it was everything more than football. You know, the atmosphere, the coaching staff, the players on the team. It was a place that I knew when I wasn't playing football and I wasn't going to class, who do I want to hang out with? And most of those guys that are Penn Staters were the kind of people I wanted to be around. And it carries on to this day. All my best friends are Penn Staters. Most of them live down here in South Florida because of that bond that we created at Penn State off the field. And I think that's a great reason for people to go because our community is huge. And there's a lot of love in the Penn State, Nittany Lion Nation.
So let me ask you this, OJ. We ask this of every guy, former player that comes on the show. If you were allowed to make NIL deals, and I know you were never shy about, the money that was being made around us when we would talk about it back then, but if you were allowed to make NIL deals back then, what company or companies would you have wanted to have a deal with when you were in college?
Oh, man. I've been thinking about this, man. Mine would probably be the Lions Den. Yeah. 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 I think about it is, man, back in the day, I loved State College and, it was so strict and Joe was so great about us not getting into a bunch of trouble. At a young age, we couldn't go into, any clubs or bars or anything like that. And most of them had a program, with all our pictures and birth dates in them and everything like that, man. So, but not real being serious, Chris Rosengren, who owns Lions Den now, is a great friend of mine. And I would love to endorse and, and whatever, represent his company as well, man. But, once I got to 21, man, Lions Den became my favorite place. And when I go back every single time for a home game, I make sure I stop by there.
Hey, OJ, when you got to Penn State, one of your teammates was Terry Smith. Did you see some of the makings of a college football coach in Terry back then?
Absolutely, man. His attitude, his smarts, his toughness, his playmaking ability, his way he's led, and even coaching me up a little bit, Scrap. When I'm a guy that's trying to play his position at that point. When Dave Daniels was still there, he was still on point and helping me out. He's always been a true leader. The team barber, everybody came to him for advice. So all those things as you go to a barbershop, that's what happens. Everything about Terry meant, showed that he could be a guy that could be a leader of men, and of course leading a program like Penn State when the opportunity presented itself, man. And so, yeah, I definitely felt like, he'd be a great guy, great candidate. I told him this: if anything were to happen, I hope he got an opportunity. He's getting his opportunity, man, and hopefully he gets many more along the way.
OJ, there's a lot of coaching vacancies in college and in the NFL, soon to be, I would imagine, even more so. But you played for two guys that did it just about better than anyone else when it comes to just winning games. Joe Paterno in college, and then, of course, Don Shula in the NFL. What are some of the common themes between those two that made them both so successful?
Yeah, how about that? What a blessing, right? You go from the greatest college football coach ever to the greatest pro football coach ever, man. And and I still talk about those two in true high regards when I talk about the coaches, man. I think both of them, they were so demanding, commanding, but they're also respectful, and they treated us all like men. And I think that was one of the main things that we really appreciate. They cared about the little things that were important in life, not just on the football field. And I think that carries on, man. And I know Joe had he has so much more responsibility taking, boys and turn them into men and worry about school, worry about football, worry about everything else that goes on in life. Whereas Coach Shula only had to deal with the professional aspect of everything. But at the same time, though, man, both of them were cut from the same cloth. Grueling, tough, fair. And I enjoy playing for both. Playing for Joe Paterno prepared me to play for Coach Don Shula, and I think he respected that.
Really enjoyed talking with OJ McDuffie. He hosts a Miami Dolphins podcast called Fish Tank you should check out to hear our entire conversation with OJ. Make sure you visit our website, nittany-game-week.com, for Impact interviews and other web-exclusive content. Don't go anywhere. Tom still has our scrap medal to hand out. There was a milestone moment for one Nittany Lions senior at the Horseshoe. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State Football.
We hope you'll enjoy wintertime in the Poconos as much as those folks did. Our Pocono Mountain winters take your breath away, literally. Take a breath at PoconoMountains.com.
These are more than just trucks. Every shipment moved by the R&R Express family of companies contributes to the Excel Foundation for Autism Research and Inclusion, funding safe spaces like the sensory room at Penn State's Beaver Stadium and a special events sensory trailer, and giving thousands that were unheard a voice.
Now is the time to amplify non-speaking voices and drive meaningful change.
These trucks are powered by purpose.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Still have our scrap medal to hand out, Tom. This guy continues to move up the all-time touchdown list for the blue and white.
He's been productive all 4 years. He's been in State College, and the coaching staff finds some creative ways to use senior running back Nick Singleton against Ohio State. They start him in motion to get some momentum before throwing him the ball for a nice gain, and then they set up extra offensive linemen on the outside on this pitch near the end zone. Nick scored the 39th rushing touchdown of his career. Most importantly, he continues to have a positive attitude as one of the team leaders.
It's trivia time. Last week's question, Saturday, was the 40th game between Penn State and Ohio State. All but one of those played in Columbus or State College. Which game was played at a neutral site? The answer was Penn State's win in the 1980 Fiesta Bowl over Ohio State. Our winner was Deb Haight of Avis, Pennsylvania. Let's talk about this week's question. Penn State has won 25 of 27 previous games versus Indiana. 2 of the games were played in NFL stadiums. Name the teams that hosted those games.
We are bringing PSU fans and alumni together with our Nittany Connect network and nittany-game-week.com. We're partnering with businesses that support the show and letting our viewers know about their great products and professional services. Make sure to check out nittany-game-week.com for all of our web exclusive content, airtimes for all of our network of stations, previous episodes, and our Impact interviews. The Nittany Game Week podcast as well. All can be found in one convenient location, nittany-game-week.com. And while you are visiting the website, make sure to submit your tailgating and your game picks, because we always finish with some pride picks. Show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.
Every week, our groundskeepers are meticulously mowing, painting, repairing any damage from the previous game in preparation for Saturday. Our contributions to the team are providing safe playing surfaces for the athletes to showcase their abilities on. There's a lot of history here. Being able to be a part of that has been incredibly special for me.